little treachery again. You know, it annoys me when the flash is on and it just runs the battery down. And you don't need to see what I'm doing. I mean, that isn't important. It's what I'm saying. But I will say, this motor is not one of the Yamaha motors. And this is not a beer, this is a V8. The nectar of the gods. What I'm doing with this, you know, this is that when I ended up in that weird deal where I traded bikes for beer. But this is a Lafon motor that is held together with these weird little bolts. Well, I don't care for them bolts. You know, I put a new set. The motor is new, but it had the piston was stuck just from sitting, so I had put new rings in it and honed it out and put it back together. And I'm going to put that in a different frame. But they're the weird Chinese, you know, like I say, these bolts are a nuisance. But it's kind of a knockoff of a Honda motor. So I ordered a set of the stainless bolts, the Allen head bolts for the Honda, and I'm going to switch them out to get rid of this design because I don't care for them. You end up having to use a 1/4 inch drive and they're just awkward to work with. But I'd like to get that into the frame, but I want to put them bolts on first. But just to get it into the frame, to get it off of the bench, and start figuring out the wiring on that, because that's going to be a, you know, it's going in that Franken bike. I had been reading comments on the last video, and comments on other videos concerning that bill that they're going to be pushing through. And what alarms me is that people are not more concerned about that. I mean, you should really, if you really look into this, you should really be concerned about this. You know, people have them say, oh, it's going to affect the other guy. You know, that son of a bitch over there, that's the one who's going to get affected. Not me. I know it's going to hit everybody. But it's going to hit the little guy the worst. I can see that. I can see the future, and it's very grim. But it's funny, you know. Yeah, you hear in the comments that people say, oh yeah, this is a wonderful idea. I tell you, like I say, you know, when I said the last straw, I believe, because here's what's going to happen. There will be resistance to this. There will be armed resistance to this. Justifiably so. But you think about how the government's going to react to this, and they know how they're going to react. There's a reason that the IRS is arming itself. There will be resistance, which they'll end up, everybody will be domestic terrorists. They will crack down, which will bring on more resistance. This would be an endless cycle. All hell is going to break loose. I can see this happening, man. I can't believe that other people can't. It's going to go down very badly. And there's still the opportunity, you know, that this could still be stopped. But if it isn't stopped now, it's going to get really bloody. I can't believe that people don't see that. It's just inevitable. Let they blithely go on, thinking this is just one more little step. This is a huge step that is going to be a big trigger. You know, it was always, you know, the one advantage the normal citizen had over the IRS was they're working with old technology. They could never link everything all together. They could never, before, they could never, you know, they were tracking stuff that you do, but only to a certain extent. But now they're going to be able to link all this stuff. Of course, along the way, there'll be a tremendous amount of errors, which will result in disaster. I mean, there is now even, but once they have the technology in hand, which is part of the thing, they really want to upgrade their technology on this stuff. With all the surveillance that they have currently, you know, tracking all your bank purchases and everything, including your social media, once they're able to link all this together, it is going to affect everyone. But people aren't looking at that. They're thinking this is just a minor escalation in the government's war on the individual, but it's a huge escalation. But people think, no, it's going to be the other guy. I'm clean. They got nothing on me, but they got something on everybody. It's just a matter of who they want to enforce it on, and it'll be on the low-hanging fruit, which is the little guy. They will go through the population like a swarm of locusts, and when the swarm goes through, nothing is left green. But I don't know. You know, it's funny that people, it's so painfully obvious, but yet these politicians, you hear them talking and they think, oh no, this will be okay. Just a minor inconvenience. It'll be the end of this country as we know it, most certainly. But I see it as inevitable. If they pass this, and this gets signed into law, things are going to go downhill very quickly. I mean, they're at a pretty low point now, to the point where part of it is people are going to feel, well, I got nothing to lose. You know, people are desperate enough now. You can only beat them down so far, and you're going to have a violent reaction. But it's funny, you know, people say, oh no, people won't revolt. People always say that right before there's this tremendous revolution. they just don't see it coming. It's good stuff. But I can see it coming. I guess in part because I'm a bystander, kind of. I'm outside of most of what you people get up to. I'm on the outside of that. And maybe if, you know, you're right in it, you know, you can't see the forest for the trees. But I'm standing on the outside and I see a lot of forest coming. But I do kind of see it as inevitable at this point. So I'm I've seen it this way for quite some time, but I now I know, I have gotten out of most situations that could cause me harm. But like I say, I mean, they could always, there's always something. But when I see people doing stuff on social media, being very public about stuff, I know it's going to bite them. If you were smart, I mean, I really think it's if this passes, I think it's time for me to get the hell off of YouTube and delete every video I've got up, just to clear that aspect out. Because once we're all domestic terrorists, which we will be, then comes firearm problems. That'll certainly be, I mean, it's been a problem as it is, but that'll really, once they're able to link all this stuff up, it's going to be a nightmare. It's funny. I was watching the other day. This kind of, this is beyond the talking point. Like I think now it is inevitable that this will go on. There's slight hope, but once this gets signed into law, which they seem really determined to do, we're screwed. But at the same time, I saw something the other day that I thought was funny. Nikki Haley, who was our UN ambassador, was hitting that she'd kind of like to run for president, or at least a vice president. She wants to get into politics. I was hoping I would never hear her name again. She was a horrible ambassador to the UN. She brought the opinion of our country so far down from other countries. She's just a horrible person. To think that she thinks that she should be in charge of something, man. I used to watch her at the UN. She would simply lie. And if somebody called her on her lie, then just storm out. There was nothing diplomatic about her. The post should be a diplomat, not some spoiled little bratty sort of thing. A horrible person that she even thinks that she would be fit for that job. That's incredible to me. But part of her reasoning was she was a woman. This is her qualification. It's funny because it's never who can do the job, who is actually prepared to do the job. It's what their identity is. But everything I've seen of her, she is actually a nightmare. She was horrible in the UN. Just every time I'd watch her making a speech, I would just despair. But she really lowered the opinion other countries have of us. She kicked that. Ah, well. But people are capable of incredible acts of foolishness. Her running would be one. But this bill that they're trying to push through, this is the ultimate act of foolishness. And there are people who think this is a good idea. That's what just amazes me. You know, they lumped all this garbage in there, and they look at the like this Green New Deal kind of, which is stuck. All this stuff is all stuck in there. People are a little baffled by this IRS thing. I mean, this bill would be bad enough without that in there. It's a horrendous amount of money just thrown away again, which we don't have. But then you stick in this IRS expansion. Oh, that's going to be the icing on the cake, man. That'll do her. So, I was thinking today I better sharpen my pitchforks. I think it's time. Get a few torches ready. I don't know how in the world they think they're going to get by with that. You know, oh well. But they think January 6th was something. The great threat to democracy. Huh? They ain't seen nothing yet. This is going to get ugly. But we will all be terrorists because we don't go along with their plans. And if you think you can go, that you will be spared, you are mistaken. And you will find it out, but you will find it out too late. Boy, that's a bad road to go down. Oh well, like I say, not I can do about it. I'll sit back and watch and be entertained by it. But when you see somebody about to walk off a cliff, you know, you got to say something. But if they refuse to listen, it's all on them.